Thank you for coming with us on this journey to a golden future.
We pray that today's broadcast will help you in some way to find, fulfill, and finish God's will for your life.
Now we invite you to join us in the Golden State Baptist College radio studio.
All right, Brother Fuller, think with me, right? Think with me.
I'm thinking.
There are things, right? There are things.
Lots of them, yeah.
In our world today.
Lots of them, yes.
Currently, that have changed the course of history.
Yes.
Everyday life, mundane, simply changed, literally, irreversibly. Things just happen.
Yeah.
There are things that have been created
Right.
to where our life will never be
It'll never be the same.
same without
You could
those
say they
things.
changed the game.
right. They were game changers.
Game changers.
Inventions.
Yeah, I can think of some right now.
Really?
There are some in my mind that have changed the game.
I think I could think of a couple.
Okay. You want to tell me an example first, or should I just go and see if I got what you're...
Let's see. What if we guess the same one?
I doubt it. Because you'll have to hear me out on this one, okay? You'll have to hear me out.
All right, let's listen to your game changer.
I hope this is what you're implying, but my first game changer that I can think of
Right.
is the deep fryer. Hear me out, bro. Hear me
Okay.
out. Twinkies, cool. You deep fry it, even better. Oreos, phenomenal. You deep fry it, even better.
Okay.
Little burritos, fry them up, you got taquitos. You know what I'm talking about?
What?
The deep fryer has revolutionized food. Maybe that's because I grew up in the South where they fry everything.
Right.
Maybe that's more revolutionary to me, but I don't. Do you agree with that one? That changed life.
I can honestly say that deep fryers have changed my life.
Yeah, they're a game changer.
They have changed it. What can I say? In different. I'm trying to think of like weight, like
in terms of
you know,
weight.
and some people it's changed more of their lives than others.
It's added to your life.
It's
Let's just say
definitely.
it's added in
Sometimes
more ways
it adds
than one.
more to other people than what they wanted too.
That's true.
You've got to learn to control the air fryer.
Yeah.
See, with inventions.
now there's the air fryer, but I still think the deep fryer is
okay,
the predecessor to that. Anyway, what do you think?
Game changers can be dangerous.
They can be good and
They can be
bad.
game changers
What
in a
kind
bad
of,
way.
What kind of game changers
Well,
do you have?
I'm glad you were thinking that way, but I was thinking more practical, like everyday use.
Oh, okay.
Something that has changed our life. Like
Okay.
it's probably something that no one ever even imagines or thinks about. Like we just take it for granted.
Oh.
How helpful this invention was.
Okay.
You know, like the toothpaste tube. Like think about
a
it, right?
game
The
changer?
toothpaste, not the toothpaste.
The tube
The
itself?
toothpaste tube itself.
Now that I don't even know what came before the tube.
It was a jar.
No way.
It was a jar
It
where
was a
you had
jar
to
of
scoop
toothpaste?
out your toothpaste.
Oh, man.
And think of everyone's toothbrush going into that toothpaste jar.
That's gross.
And you're all just
That's gross.
think about it. And then someone was like, no, this is bad for health. This is bad for bad breath. And they said, put that baby in a tube.
That's a game changer.
It changed
That's an everyday
everyday
item.
life.
It did. You know, I thought of another game changer.
Really?
But it's not everyday life. I mean, maybe for some people it is, but I thought roller skates was a game changer. Okay. Well, just think about it.
You got to
Think
tell
about
me
it.
about
it.
this
It defined a decade. Okay.
Okay.
In the 80s, I believe the roller skate generation was huge.
Okay.
So you have the roller rink, which I went to several times as a kid with the little youth, not the youth group, but before when you're a kid,
Okay.
the activities at
Sure,
the kids.
elementary.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Okay.
like those are fond memories.
And that was a game changer.
I think so. If my life would be different if I would have never had the joy of roller skating.
Huh.
I guess. And I don't know. I see some people around the neighborhood, the church neighborhoods, rolling around in roller skates.
Okay, I can see it. Pizza delivery, Sonic.
That's
would
another
not
thing I
be
thought
the
of.
big
The deep
thing.
fryer.
Right,
the
and
roller skates
wow.
together. You
put
put
them
those two
together.
game changers together. You got Sonic
That's
driving.
life changing. That's
Yeah.
life changing.
Anyway, I think that's all I can come up with.
I mean, those are good, but when I think of something that totally changed the game,
okay.
like nothing before like it,
Okay.
and obviously predecessors after it, all streamlined from this thing.
Right.
But you've got to think something that changed our life.
What's that?
Every single person's
I'm
life
intrigued.
is probably the sandwich. It's got to be the sandwich.
Sandwich?
Think about it before. Everything is a sit-down meal. You've got to have your entrees, your courses all together. You can't take anything to go, but boom. Somebody thought, I need to take something where I could just bag it up, easy for work.
It's true.
But give me a nutritious, great-tasting meal.
If we would have never had the sandwich, would we have even had the hamburger?
Would we?
The cheeseburger?
Right, or the hot dog.
Would we have had
Or
a
the
hot dog?
burritos.
Burrito? Maybe we still would have had burritos. But I don't know.
That's true.
Was there something to go before the sandwich that we know of?
All I know is that the sandwich was invented in the 1700s.
Oh wow.
So it's pretty big game changer.
I guess it is
for
a
me.
game changer. That's one that we don't think of because we've grown up with sandwiches our entire lives. But if you do think about life before the sandwich, yeah, I think it's a pretty sad life.
I know only two, but another one that just came into my head, another game changer, it has to be hot Cheetos.
Really?
Hot Cheetos is a game changer.
Really?
Come on. Think about it. The bus ministry would not be as great as it is today.
It is a bus
without
ministry
hot
staple.
Cheetos. Think about it.
Yeah.
There's got to be other things, like off the top of your head. Just let's do random ones
Another
right
one?
now. Off the
I
cuff.
don't know why toothpicks are not a game changer, but that popped in my head right now.
That could, when you're serving hors d'oeuvres, those little
That's
toothpicks.
true.
Just pop
that
them really
keeps
quick.
things together.
Coca-Cola changed the world.
Yeah, that's a big one. Anyway,
It could have been bad.
I think we should come up with like a spiritual game changer, something that changed the game, but actually for like a spiritual aspect of things.
Sandwiches could have done that. No, no.
I don't know,
Church
man.
picnics?
I don't know.
No.
I'm thinking the printing press.
Yeah.
Like the whole, it was like made for
Gutenberg.
the Bible, the Gutenberg
Right.
Bible, the Gutenberg printing press. That game changer.
Have you
For
heard the
real.
story about that one? Wasn't it his house? Someone said that the Bible would never be produced or something. Do you know that story?
I've never heard this story.
I think someone
we'll have
said,
to look that up.
We'd have to fact check it. Maybe we'll bring it back next episode. But someone said they'll never print the Bible, blah, 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 someone's house. And then they ended up printing Bibles in that person's house.
That is really cool.
I'll have to
look
fact
that
check
up.
it. We'll
to
bring it
look
back
that
next
up.
episode.
Maybe next broadcast. Well, no, next broadcast is the 20th broadcast.
Whoa.
Maybe we'll start season 2
Ooh.
with the Gutenberg printing press.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
But
You've got to tune in. You've got to write in. Let us know. Email us at goldenfuture@gsbc.edu. Tell us.
Yeah, you tell us
Right.
which. Let's exclude the printing press because obviously that's number one. But out of the other 4, the deep fryer, the roller skates, the toothpaste, and the sandwich, which was the biggest game changer?
Be honest right now. Which is the biggest game changer? You've got to think about this. You tell me. You tell me which one you think
It's
is.
not my roller skates, okay? I'll admit it's not my roller skates.
But you still think the air or the
I
deep
think
fryer
the deep fryer is a game changer.
over a toothpaste tube?
Okay.
There's no way.
Maybe not over a sandwich. I love me a good sandwich.
All right.
Anyway, I feel like we need to move on. We haven't even said hello to our listeners.
Hey, hello, listeners.
Thank you for tuning in to KMBBC or Spotify or Apple Podcasts, YouTube,
Yeah.
wherever you listen. I'm Brother Fuller.
And I'm Brother Simmons.
And you are listening to a Golden Future radio broadcast.
Our 19th broadcast.
Yes. And we got something exciting for number 20.
Can you imagine that? 19 broadcast means 19 weeks.
Wow.
I don't think it's been that's
doesn't
over
feel
3
like it.
months. I can't
Wow.
even imagine that.
Hey.
That we've been doing it that long.
Praise the Lord.
Thanks for sticking with it, sir.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
To all the listeners out there who've stayed with us, thank you. For all of you that are just joining us,
yeah.
welcome to the crazy ride. So I don't know.
No, it's not a crazy ride.
It felt like the
we
kind of thing
glorify God here first. We push spiritual applications.
Yes.
Right, Brother
yes.
Phil? I feel like
That's
you're not
why
saying
we
amen
had.
enough.
That's why we had the printing press.
Right, the printing
We
press.
do have some spiritual things coming up in this
Sure.
broadcast. We've got one chapter, one truth.
Ooh.
Hopefully, there's got to be some
Yeah.
kind of
I hope you listened to that one
practical
last
advice
week.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Last week we had one chapter, one truth, and we started with that. Talked
You did
about
it.
talked about imagination is the power back
Oh.
of initiative.
Oh.
Basically talked about how important it is to imagine and visualize and catch a vision for your future.
You have to forgive me, bro. Somebody brought that up to me this week. They're like, I was listening to that broadcast about having imagination pushes you forward in the Christian life. And I'm like, I don't think we ever said that. I really forgot about it. Like,
No,
I
we
remember
did.
it was a good broadcast, but they said, yeah. And I'm like, I don't think that was our last broadcast. But if you're listening, I was wrong. You were right. We did
Yeah,
talk
we
about
talked
that.
about it.
Whoops, I'm sorry.
You gotta remember, because we gotta take some time,
Sure.
and just pull away and
Sure.
imagine and catch a vision for the future.
Sure.
So
And you took that from the front of the book.
yes,
And
and
today-
you've got the back of the book
Yeah.
today, right?
Yeah, the back
we'll
of the
get
book.
to we'll get to that in just a moment. Last week
Ooh.
we also had the bracket breakdown,
Yeah.
and we talked about which Bible story would be the absolute coolest to go back to
That one
and to
was pretty
see
good.
in person. So if you want to figure out, Brother
You gotta
Simmons came
vote.
up with the bracket. If you want to figure out what I think the best place
Yeah.
to visit in the Bible is, go back and listen on Spotify.
Yeah,
Apple
and vote with Brother
Podcasts.
Fuller. See if you got the same one that he chose. But I remember that was a pretty good one. I like
Yeah,
that.
I enjoyed imagining and visualizing all those Bible stories.
Feels like that's been a while ago.
Yeah, it has been a minute, but
it seems like it.
We're back.
Yes.
And we're excited about today's broadcast. We're one chapter, one truth, and then we're out of here.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about it.
Take it away, Brother Simmons. You got the back of the book. What's the book?
Did you do the same book?
Yes,
did, right?
I did.
We were doing J.C. Penney's book, Lines of a Layman, which really our pastor pushed for this to get reprinted. And in my hand, I actually have one of the old copies today, so I don't want to mess it up. But in the back, towards the back of this book, J.C. Penney writes a truth about the common man, and that's the title of it. It's called The Common Man. It was towards the end of the book, and he really goes on to say, and I guess I sort of derived this from it, but the Bible is filled with stories of individuals that God used, and they were just common people, right? And J.C. Penney writes that there are only a few famous people in the world, and the rest of us must live just common, simple lives. But then he said this one truth that really stuck with me. He says, Penney writes that Jesus honors the common man by giving him an uncommon task. He honors the common man by giving us an uncommon task. Think about it, right? The Bible is filled with a bunch of just common people, filled with farmers, filled with fishermen, filled with, yes, there was kings, there was princes and things like that, but normally there was just a shepherd boy, there was just a farmer, someone who was tilling the field. Whatever it was, they were all just common people until God gave them an uncommon task. Same with the disciples. They were just common men, and yet God gave them an uncommon task, and because of that, they got to do something great for God. And you might think, well, maybe I just have a common life. Maybe I'm just a parent. Maybe I'm just a sibling. Maybe I just go to church every single week, but yet God has given you and I an uncommon task. And because of that, you might think, well, I just have to do the mundane. I just have to go through the motions. I'm just doing the same thing over and over. But yet sometimes we forget to realize the importance of what our life can do, of what you can do. I think about it. I'm thankful just for my parents. And some people would say they're just common people. But I had common parents that were godly parents. They gave a spiritual role model for me to follow. They brought me to church. They did the best that they could do. I remember Sunday school teachers, they just worked in a grocery store. They just worked in an HVAC company, whatever it was, and yet they were common, but they had an uncommon task, which was teaching spiritual truths to the next generation. And because of that, I'm here today. I think of my Bible college professors. They would just say they're just common, or they drive a bus on Sundays, or they just teach their class, and yet what they taught was uncommon, and it was great. It was spiritual truths, and because of that, I got to go to a Bible college where I heard all these great professors who shaped and formed my life into what it is today. So whoever you are, whatever you're going through, J.C. Penney writes, there are only a few famous people, right? Not everyone's going to be the great preacher. Not everyone's going to be the one in the spotlight. Sometimes we're just in the background, but what we do still matters.
That's really cool. You know how, just one more thought to add on to that, and then we'll wrap it up. You know how they always say the best example for everything is Jesus Christ.
Sure.
But I'm just thinking about, he was a common man. He was all man,
right?
Yet he was all God.
Sure.
Even like this little simple truth about a common man and being uncommon, Jesus again is the perfect example of that crazy, that crazy balance. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty neat.
You're tearing up, pal. You're tearing up.
No, I'm not. I'm just thinking about Jesus is always the answer. But I mean, here even, he was just man like you and me, but he was also God. He was common and uncommon.
Amen.
How about that?
I like that. Yeah. Good truth. J.C. Penney, you did it well, man. I can't wait till one day we get to meet him in heaven. Tell him I read his book. Well, almost. I'm almost done.
We read 2 chapters of his book. There you go.
We read a lot more.
Well, that'll wrap it up for today's Golden Future Radio broadcast.
Amen.
We want to thank you so much for tuning in today, and we want to ask you to do a couple things. Number one, we want you to email us agoldenfuture@gsbc.edu and tell us why not tell us about the what did we call that?
The game changers.
Game changers.
Yeah.
Why not tell us about which one you think is the best? And we'd love to hear from you. So write into us there and share it with a friend as well. Share this broadcast. Let somebody know about us. And we hope to talk to you next week. But until then, don't forget,
doing God's will today leads to God's will tomorrow. Thank you for listening to a Golden Future radio broadcast.
If you'd like to listen to our other episodes, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
Also, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at agoldenfuture@gsbc.edu.
And tune in next week to the broadcast dedicated to help this generation discover God's purpose for their lives.